Station 51, engine 27, engine 32, truck 105.
You're listening to The Fire Break with Steve Wolf.
Welcome back to The Fire Break. I'm Steve Wolf. The Fire Break is sponsored by Team Wildfire. Check it out on the web, teamwildfire.com. Building innovative wildfire solutions. We'll see. You know, it's exciting times in the wildfire space. You start to solve for it, and then the problem changes, and now all of a sudden you're trying to solve for something new. It's interesting. Well, no one brings more perspective on this than Nick Loveless, who has been working in wildfire for 30 plus years. I won't say what the plus stands for, but it's been a bit, and he's a battalion chief with the U.S. Wildfire Service. Welcome to the podcast. How are you today, Nick?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
You bet. So what are you working on now?
Right now, kind of just in the middle of our seasonal hiring. We got a few permanent jobs that we're doing with that, and then rolling right into our season of meeting with all of our cooperators and re-upping our agreements, operational agreements, and just kind of FaceTime with all the chiefs and local departments and other cooperators so we can, I don't know, go over what we're going to do, how we're looking as on our side, and how they're doing. If they got any new apparatus and individuals, just kind of a face-to-face greet and talk about what's ready to come.
So as you're working to prepare for this upcoming season, is the season going to wait on you, or is it? Is it coming hard and fast?
It's already. We're pretty much getting fires almost every month for sure of the year nowadays. So we're still standing up permanent staff year round, where we always have engines available, people available. We got quite a bit of folks out right now down in helping out with Texas is going off pretty big right now. Got Florida and Oklahoma. I think we've had we got 30 some people out right now helping out around the country with wildfires and prescribed burns down in Florida and such. But
Are we having enough prescribed burns?
I think so. It's been tough in our region right now. The winter was non-existent. I even have to shovel snow once this winter. It's been crazy warm. So trying to find those windows where we have some green up and I guess weather dependent on being able to burn. We haven't been able to burn quite as much, but we still have been doing a lot of burning here. Piles mainly, broadcast burns. Forest Service has been doing some stuff too, but around the nation, I think it's been the South does a really good job of it. The Southeast areas of burning quite a bit, and here we're still getting quite a bit of acreage during the winters. But it's been, like I said, this one's been tough this year. With it's been summer pretty much all winter. It hasn't really gotten any snow or cold, so it's been a weird year.
Yeah, I think you're the first person to complain about not having to shovel snow.
I know, right? I looked at the shovels the other day. I'm like, man, I didn't even have to use them once. It's pretty crazy, but it's been nice though. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But who knows what it forebodes for the upcoming season?
Yeah. The feel, it's already. You think of it in a regular season, you're usually going to get 2 or 3 green ups or grow periods where that grass is going to go, and other fields. But it's been, dormant for a little bit. Now it's starting to grow again. Problem really is that the snow didn't come, so it's not laying down any of the field, any of our fine fields, the grasses and such. So it's still standing and ready to burn and carry a lot more now with it being able to, the vertical fields travel quite a bit more than it is when it's compacted. So it's just going to add on to that, and the fuel loading is going to be up there quite a bit.
So you're talking about, the impact of this recent winter on the upcoming burn. So, which is really based on your experience and how you apply that to what's going on in the last, 6-month period. I'm really curious about the perspective that you bring, though, from, decades of fire service. What do you see, what's changing? How fast is it changing? What does it mean for us in the future?
I would say the impact, at least more so to us in this area is the WUI and houses and such going out into the wilderness or wildland areas, having to do a lot more with the city departments and everything's just a cooperative basically anymore. There's no, it used to be BLM or the fire service, whatever it was. You went to the fire and it was just the federal people there. You go and go around the fire, come back, no big deal. And now it's gotten so much more complex, I think, with the fuels. But now we're adding another fuel. We're adding houses, structures, and complexity that way that it's you're really having to be a lot more with like what we're doing now with meeting these cooperators and departments and having a set frequency list already in place that you go to. We're talking digital and analog and cooperators that don't have quite a bit of the money to get those new radios and such. So communication's a big one.
That's the P25 phase 2s now that people are expected to shell out for.
I think we're running the 5000s or whatever, the BK, and then we have our digital one. Well, they're all digital, I guess DPHs, but we have different. Like in my rig, I got two different ones. I got my BLM radio, then I have the city structure radios and everything. It's in all their frequencies in there too. So we kind of flip back and forth, but trying to get those to talk to each other sometimes is kind of a pain. That way, but just a lot more people involved now. It's not just us, ranchers and RFPAs, the city departments. There's just so much more you got to think about and keeping your head when you're on these fires, especially trying to manage them, running it as an IC it's a new game for sure.
Yeah, and I didn't expect to move off into the radio topic, but I am curious. Is there an inverse relationship in that the more expensive the radio is, the less likely you are to be able to figure out how to use it?
I think in some aspects, it's more complicated on things of what's going on that way. We're always changing frequencies too. It seems like every year we go through our radio user guide meetings. There's always every year some sort of frequency change, so you're always having to go through all the radios and reprogram them, and then what that is the effect of that rolling down to our departments and areas. They got to pay someone to come and redo all their radios as well, so that's taxing on them. But just having to learn new frequencies too and orders of what they're in, and just more expensive. And even I think even at the feds, we get the new radios, but by the time we get them within 1 year, they're outdated and they've already come out with two different other versions of. We're always behind, I guess, in the technology.
Right. It is. Tell me about the transition from your pre-IC life to your IC life. What did you think about command coming up, and now that you are part of it, how do you see it differently?
You definitely see two sides of it. When you're just a firefighter on the ground, like, what do those guys even do? They drive around to the rig and such. And you have, I think, two different opinions, I guess, of being there on the ground, out there doing the work, and digging line or pulling hoses. It's fun. You have a great time. You really don't have to worry too much. Like you're told, hey, go take this line. You're on this frequency. You're working for this person. Go do that. And you're like, cool, I can go do that. And then you roll into this overhead gig. A lot more into it. I think just that responsibility-wise, of course, but the having people's lives or whatever decisions you're making can directly affect not only people on the ground, but also the homes or something else, or communities that you're protecting. It's been fun for me. I like it. Overhead stuff. I like the anonymity. I guess I like having my rig and being able to go where I want to go when I need to go. And I do like the challenge of the chess match, the chess game type of deal of coming up with that operational plan and seeing it being executed is really cool too. When it all comes together at the end, high five and people. that part's fun. It's two different worlds for sure. And I think some people really like staying in just that captain or firefighter role and just kind of living it out that way. And then I think others search out, keep going a little bit higher. I think where I'm at, this battalion level, it's kind of the happy medium. You're not set in like a team life type deal. You're still out on the ground and get to do a lot more stuff too that way. But, a little bit as well pulled away from the direct digging line all the time. So it has its advantages, disadvantages, but more taxing on your head for sure. I might have to see the counselor a little bit more than I used to, but it's fun. I like this position. You're really still in touch with the firefighters, and you're that in between of the overhead, the chiefs, and such that way. So you kind of get the best of both worlds at this level, and I've stuck with this level and not really wanted to search out too much more because like I said, I'm having fun doing this and where I'm at.
Yeah. And you chuckled about, having to see the counselor more, but that really is a serious topic for a lot of people, right? Especially people who haven't been around, fire before, and they're coming in as newcomers, and they're, seeing things that may be traumatic to them, or, as they say, seeing things you can't unsee.
Yeah.
What do it seems like the industry's really become much more responsive to these, traumatic injury from stress. Are you seeing more of that?
Yeah, I think so. Myself, I've really searched it out beforehand just to try and get rid of some of the demons and such. But you go from such a high amperage in the summers and all the fires, and of course, then some of these seasonal workers, especially, you hit that October, November-ish, and it just cuts off, and you've lost your 20 other friends, best friends that you've had for the summer every day, seeing them and going through struggles, and then now you're by yourself, and and then if you go into winter, dark and cold, and how do you keep yourself active? How do you keep your mind still moving? But I do see, the feds, they have a lot more programs, I think, that have come out, especially the accessibility has been a big one. You never really saw that stuff, even 5 years ago. I think it's come quite a long ways. Even the public here in town is kind of, there's an emergency health responders clinic, which is just geared for first responders, LEOs, police, and such, and the doctors and everything else are like in tune with our way of life, or what's all of our stresses and things that we might have seen that way. So it's a lot easier to be able to explain like what's going on, or injuries that you might have that you wouldn't really get, I don't think, with a regular MD type deal. But they have a mental therapist. You can go to massage clinics and stuff that's just straight up for knowing our lifestyle and what comes with that. But I still think you got to do a lot on yourself still. I mean, you got to find and search out and find those things, and it's a lot. There is quite a bit out there, but you really got to, I don't know, find someone that's either search it out or you start doing it yourself, because and that's been at least my journey experience, is having to find something that helps you as the firefighter, not just
Sure.
Your neighbor from across the street they have different problems. It's cool to see, I guess, the stuff out there. I just recently did a program. It was based with Mission 43 is kind of a cooperator here with the retired veterans. And they have, I think it's like the largest in the nation, but hyperbaric chambers. And then they have 2 rooms. So I just completed that. I was doing 2 a day for 20 days. In these
40 sessions of HBOT, huh?
Yeah. Have you? So you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, and that things, man, those are incredible. The things that you see that they do and help out with. It's like, man, I recommend that to anybody that can ever get a chance to do that. It definitely a game changer in the world of mental and physical, the pains that takes away. It's a really cool experience.
Yeah, and one of the hidden benefits of HBOT is the amount of TV you get to catch up on.
Yeah, Definitely. I did. I watched some of your podcasts. It was
Really? Oh, goodness.
good deal. Yeah.
Wow. I'm sorry there's such a lack of other entertaining things.
No, it was good. I like it. You
Okay.
start getting into that. I think I searched it out too. You always want to know what's going on there in the world of fire, and man, things are changing so much right now with the new fire service and everything else. We don't even know, where people are going. People are still kind of in limbo as well. Like, do we have jobs or the same title? Could be in the same place this summer. It's an interesting time for sure, and so I search that stuff out with like individuals like yourself and things that have different perspectives, and sometimes you guys know. A lot of times you get information from folks like you a lot more than we're getting it down the pipe from the bosses, or Washington D.C. Is sometimes a little slower in that.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a similar path to watch duty, right? That
Yeah,
now there's this alternative source of information that in most cases is better than
yeah,
relying on official information, right?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, there's go back to even just the mental health thing too, as well. It's like there's so much stuff out there you really don't know until you start looking for the things, and like your program and folks that do the same. It's an amazing wealth of the information and coming from the fire line people you're talking with and your past experience too with fire and such. Uh, it's out there. It's just I think it takes a little effort on the user to go and find it and search out the stuff, but it is definitely out there, which is very, very nice to know.
It's kind of like asking the guy with the broken leg to go find a good orthopedist, right? It's
yeah,
when right for people who are suffering, they're not in an ideal headspace for seeking and quantifying or qualifying the type of help that's available. So
yeah,
I'm guessing that as a battalion chief, you have to be more alert about spotting, symptoms of PTSI in your reports.
yeah. I definitely, checking in with your folks every day, and I go back to it again at this level. You're still able to be at the stations. You're still PTing with the crews, keeping that check on folks, and again, to year round with a permanent staff. A lot of these places, the fire service, with as many permanent positions are going on now that it's a year round gig, and so it wasn't just a 6 month check on your folks and then you kind of talk to them every once in a while. But now you're every day. You get to know all their families, what's going on that way, and cheer camps, soccer games that you're going to, but definitely out on the fire line too. In the bigger fires, the team structures, with fire camps and such. There's so many people out there and trying to keep track of how they're doing, especially when you're rolling into 13 days or on your shift, and things start kind of going funky sometimes that far into it, lack of sleep and such. But yeah, it is. It needs to be a big priority, in my opinion, of keeping track of the folks that are doing the job for you. Like I said, I'm not out there digging all the lines myself. If you don't have those folks, fires don't go out. If they don't get controlled or contained, and you treat them good, and they, in response, get the job done for you. You got to keep them fueled.
Yeah. So during the phase where they're deployed, times are tough, but there's camaraderie to balance that.
Quite a bit,
right?
Yeah.
But for folks who have an off season, that's where they're processing everything that happened in the previous season, and the camaraderie's not there, like they're on their own. So do you feel like you need to reach out and touch base with your folks, maybe even more when they're not during deployed periods?
I believe, yeah, I would try to quite a bit with. You get that it is such a weird thing of just being together all the time, and then there's just a hard cutoff where you're like, where do we go now? As a seasonal and such. try and keep it's easier sometimes, I guess, with a smaller community that a lot of these fire bases are in and such to stay in touch with folks. But a lot of people aren't from here. They fight fire out of this joint for a bit, then they go back to their home or families a couple states away and such. Trying to just keep a group text or something like that with your crews, your emails every once in a while that can come out, just asking how folks are, job announcements, or if they need any help with anything that way. It is, it's more than ever was before. I think just being aware of it really as an agency, but also as that fellow firefighter of knowing that everybody's different. They're going to process, like you said, the things quite differently. It's such an abrupt, like I said, that change that really, you're sitting there and all of a sudden you got time to reflect and go back of why everything would happen. And maybe it was a stellar year, nothing went down and you made a lot of money. Over time, your body hurts and you just kind of self figure something out of a different thing to put your brain and body into, whether it be a lot of people working out or skiing. I used to, when I was seasonal, I was a big ski bum in the winter when we had winters and snow.
I remember winter.
Yeah. The ski hills didn't do
you
too
might
well.
have to explain to your grandchildren what snow was, right?
I know, it's about there, my man. It wasn't a stellar year for the ski industry, snow industry, I guess, this winter around here at least.
Yeah. So it seems that the pace of wildfire acreage and wildfire devastation is picking up quite a bit. Do you feel like there's any disconnect between the technology that worked on fires 10 or 20 years ago and the technology that's going to be needed to fight the fires of today and the next decade? Do you think that the old way is scalable with more people and more Pulaskis, or do you think that we're going to need to see some new tech, hopefully not as hard to use as new radios, but stuff that actually impacts the brush and the wildland fuels?
There's always that opportunity, and you're seeing it more with the AI and everything else, and technologies coming out now of things that are being created we've never even seen before. Just on your company as well of the stuff that's coming out of you never even thought of before. The bazooka or the jet powered nozzle, I think, was something I saw the other day with the water that helps out that way. But you get back to the nuts and bolts of it really is that the feet on the ground, boots on the ground. We're seeing a lot more programs with the technologies, I would say, with more so of engines, like your Type 3s now, or super heavies that we have out there, dozer programs of how much more we've put into dozers, and those things are just invaluable around here in my area. Dozers put out quite a bit of fire for us, but there is that need, though, I believe, with the new technology of say, being in the IC level, of being back in my rig, and then having more computers, or at least a bigger screens and stuff. A lot of it's just on your phone of trying to look at maps and such, and having another console in there of real-time mapping, that can go on. The cameras now that are all over the place is really cool to be able to see, even on the way to a fire or a fire report. You can bring up these cameras and see smoke and maybe identify some hazards or what's going on in that area. That stuff is valuable, I believe, and it's going, for lack of a better word, balls to the wall with as much stuff that's coming out there, and trying to catch up with these the user face or programs and know how to use them is a big deal now, I think, as well. Even for the public, just to see what's going on out there and know the story of what we're doing, or why roads are closed, or where everybody's going. I think there's a huge, definite area for this new stuff to come in and try out. And why not try it out? If you got the stuff, try it. And maybe it doesn't do good, maybe it's awesome. And and whether it saves some money or save lives, houses, destruction of land, I'm all about this stuff, and it's fun to see these new firefighters that are bringing a lot of this technology with them too, or able to use it a lot better than the folks like myself that, we still, when I was a kid, I just had Atari, and now we look at the joysticks and everything else, even in our super heavy, so we have the monitors on the front of it, and it's in the cab, you're controlling the nozzle, the gallonage and pressure. And the younger kids are coming in there just nailing it. And like, we can't even figure it out, the older guys. But these kids are coming in there and they just got the remote control, and they're just doing awesome things with it. And the production, the line production just is amazing that they can do too, of getting on the fires while they're small, getting around them, knock them down, and take care of it, get ready for the next one. So there's definitely a place for it, yeah. And I like to see how the stuff is coming out. It's really amazing, some of these things.
It really is. So with line production and legacy fire containment methods, it used to be most of the fires were susceptible to the methods that were available to treat them. Now we're seeing a growing percentage of fires that for which 12 feet of mineral soil is nothing, right? It's completely irrelevant when you're seeing 2, 3, even 40-mile ember casts. So where do you see technology going to deal with the types of fires that aren't addressed by legacy strategies?
More so, I guess, I think like the fire detection, of being able to pick up something that when it's small, getting that visual cue. We're sitting there just a few years ago, even current times. Dispatch gets the call in, says, we got a smoke report at such and such place or whatever it is. And then we're having to wait for people to actually get out there and visually confirm this before we say like launch air resources or throw the whole boat out there, because a lot of times it's just dust or old fires and such. And to be able to confirm something and that much quicker, and then know the appropriate resources you need to send out there, the packages that are going, where it's at is specifically road, however to get into the fire itself. I think that helps so much more at the base or in your command rig going out there, just to have that game plan a lot more going through your head and seeing what it is, of whether I'm ordering more resources or a different type of resource. Am I getting seats, or do I want a VLAP or heavy coming in, or helicopters? Is there water sources around? That confirmation is huge. And then going into, I guess, on the fire, like you said, the ember washes or things that are going out that way. Having, the technology to be able to kind of get that. We all have the maps and stuff, and Google Earth and everything else, right? But these maps now that are coming out with so much stuff on it, so many layers that a lot of times these maps are just roads and symbols everywhere. I'm like, what does these one even mean? Like, you got to find the legend first before you know what's going on that way. And I think making things quicker, and like a one hit the button, I just want this one, I just want that, and making it more, I guess, affordable as well. Always the money, the dollar dictates quite a bit of what we can get and what we can use. I see a lot of the private companies that have some startup money and monies that are able to outfit their firefighters is quite. I mean, it's pretty incredible some of the things they have that way too, or the city departments and such that way. It's cool to see, and I hope it still keeps rolling that way as well. You gotta change with the times anyway. Of use the things that's out there for you. You gotta find the right tool for the right job, and with that, the technology is getting there and is offering these things, but sometimes, like the radios, you get it, but it's out of date because you had to wait so long for the affordability to come down to be able to purchase it. And then by that time, it's outdated, and you're then not talking to other things, or you're not able to use all the functions or options. Or the updates, like even the king radios, blocks. I mean, they don't even BK. We're not a big enough type program, I guess. Wildland Fires. They have military and private things that like are giving them quite a bit more money and usage than we have. So they're this. You find something good, and then all of a sudden they've moved on to something else because they're selling it more to this other person or individual kind of thing. So having that, I guess, what am I looking for here? The ability to kind of like sway things from our departments is I think a little bit behind compared to the private industry of what's going on there in the military. That they can kind of pick and choose where they want these technologies to go that way and build it for them and their specific need that they have. So we're just kind of picking up the scraps and do what we do, but that's what we've always done in Wildland. Really, you kind of you're given this and you make it work and find the best way to do it until the fire's gone.
Yeah, I'm wondering if either formally or even informally, within units of boots on the ground, people are getting designated as the technology tutor, right? That everyone got these new radios, and there's one kid who really is a whiz, or he knows how to select which layers of cal topo you need and which ones you don't, or how to read the circles on the Aurora Tech satellite data, right? And then this kid would go around and he would set this up for everybody so they can figure out how to use it.
I definitely, just my crews. I got the designated IT guy for sure, or gal that you call and be like, I can't even figure this out, help me out. And they're really good at it, one, and two is they like doing it. So you definitely have like when you build your teams or when you're hiring and such that way too. So you're like looking for these like that. For a stupid example, but like the A-Team, remember the old show, the A-Team, and each person on that team had their own specific what they're good at, and you stay with that role, and then together you're just able to accomplish quite a feat on things. And you definitely have your guy for IT, you got your guy for mechanical stuff, or person, sorry, guy all the time. But you have that individual that is, knows the maps. This individual knows all the apparatus and fittings and such really well. And your area of expertise, I guess, having those folks of just a little bit everywhere, coming from different aspects around the nation as well, life experiences and everything else. Just you got your person that likes to talk to cameras or likes to talk to the public and can handle them well, and then you have others that are just strong as hell, can pack 2 saws and a couple of hose packs up the hill for you with no problem. And those are your guys that way too.
Yeah. So I'm guessing, the stronger the individuals are, the stronger the team is. Right?
Yeah, and their capability in their
historically, you might go back, you'd reference, the A-Team where everyone had a specialty. And in the same period of television, you could go back to MacGyver, where one guy had the knowledge of all the things.
Yeah.
And ideally, you get a team of MacGyvers is your win, right?
Yeah, definitely. Always the saying of, I'm not being an expert in something, but you're an expert or very well versed in everything. That type of person, like you said, with MacGyver, as opposed to one person that just knows one thing. You get someone that knows a bunch. And it spreads, within the community too. Like you start hanging out with a guy who only knows this, or this person only knows that, but then they start trading information and talking on the phone and anything else, and you start learning that way. So it's not all just trainings or anything else. I think it's just life experiences as well, on the line, off the line, of picking up things and what works best for you.
Yeah, right. That's how society developed, right? This guy's good at making arrowheads, and this guy's good at tanning skins, and
let's get them together.
We'll work together, right? Yeah. Exactly. That's great. Nick, I want to just thank you so much for sharing some of the perspective you developed over the time with us. I really appreciate you joining me here.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate the invite. Anytime. I really like what you're doing. And like I said, with the information that's out there and getting it out to folks really does help us out there on the line and upcoming firefighters, old firefighters, same thing. Really appreciate what you do.
Glad to hear it's doing some good. You don't know. You start, you do it, and then maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. So thanks for that feedback. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate the work that you're doing. Nick Loveless, Battalion Chief with the U.S. Wildland Fire Service, live from somewhere in the Boise area. Thanks for joining us today on the Fire Break, and thank you all for listening today. Hope you learned a lot from Nick. And what's the big takeaway? Find that kid who knows how to program the radio and have him help you out with it. Again, thanks for listening. I'm Steve Wolf. We're sponsored by Team Wildfire. Till I see you next time, be careful. Take care.